Legit question. Are men devolving? I know men have never been shit, will never be shit, but the amount of domestic and SA violence that is being reported is, it feels exponential. I know our access to information has increased exponentially, and obviously violence perpetrated at the hands of men against women is nothing new, okay, obviously. But from a Darwinian standpoint, like, are men devolving? Heavy trigger warnings for some of the stories I'm about to talk about. And these are just stories that have either happened and been reported on in the last month, or have happened in years prior, but the cases are going to court, or the news is being recirculated because of this very phenomenon. Most recently, a doctor in Michigan, Dr. Omer Ajez, was arrested and accused of filming himself essaying children and women. Moving right along, another instance is that of a former Massachusetts police officer who unalived a pregnant woman who he had unsavory goings-on with since she was a minor, and subsequently staged her death as a suicide, just pled not guilty in court. This happened in 2021. Another absolutely horrifying story comes out of Ethiopia. You may have seen it. It kind of went viral here, of what happened to 7-year-old Heaven Awat, who was brutally SA'd by her mother's landlord. So much so that her uterus was ruptured and her pelvis was ruptured to the point where her spinal cord was exposed. He then poured cement in her mouth so she couldn't scream, and proceeded to try and cover up the incident. Rotten Mango on YouTube has a whole video on the situation. I think most of us know about Rebecca Cheptegei. It made mainstream media news. The Ugandan Olympian who was set on fire by her former boyfriend after returning from church with her 2 children, and subsequently succumbed to her wounds. What I didn't know is that that motherfucker that did that to her burned himself in the process and has since fucking died. Good riddance. What I also learned is that she is the 4th Kenyan female athlete to have been unalived by their domestic partner since 2021. Now here's where I need a fucking expert in Darwinian evolution, because the amount of unsavory goings-on between men and animals seems to be increasing exponentially as well. Because I think a lot of us have learned against our will about Sean Hirschbein, the piece of filth who was driving the school bus filled with birds, a pony, dogs, for the purposes of essaying them. 30 birds, 3 German shepherds, a donkey, and a pony were rescued from that school bus. Most of those animals had been abused to such a degree that they had to be euthanized. Remaining birds that were able to be rehabilitated are now being rehomed, etc. I think many of us also learned over the past couple of months about the monitor lizard that was raped and then subsequently eaten by a group of men. Most recently, a story out of India from 2018 has been making the rounds, where a group of 8 men were arrested for graping a pregnant goat. A pregnant goat. I won't even go into Pony the orangutan, but if you don't know Pony's story, I encourage you to do your due diligence. This is just within the past, 30 to 60 days. And this is just what's reaching mainstream media and or being shared on this app. What we don't know that's going on, the shit that we don't see, And we've also learned about a former Miss Switzerland, Christina Joksimovic, only 38 years old, who was brutally unalived and then dismembered by her boyfriend. Her remains were then pureed in a blender. You cannot make this shit up. You couple this shit, the domestic violence, the essaying, the graping, the setting of women on fire, the brutalization of girls to the point where their spinal cords are sticking out, the graping and animal abuse, a pregnant goat. You couple this with the mass unalivings happening in our schools, the amount of young boys that were just since Appalachia that were prepared to go into schools that were caught before they were able to, coupled with the genocides happening all over this fucking planet. You guys are lucky we let you anywhere near us. You are so... The fact that you don't get on your hands and knees and worship any woman who is willing to let you speak to her, let alone touch her. I don't have anything. I don't know.